It begins in silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of absence. At 5:55 a.m., in the heart of one of the most fortified prisons on Earth, a guard made his rounds. He carried the same checklist as yesterday, walked the same halls, breathed the same air heavy with concrete dust. Nothing ever changed here. That was the point. But on this morning, something was wrong. One cell door was ajar. The bed inside was empty. The cameras had seen nothing, and the man who was supposed to be caged for life was gone. That absence, a single body missing, would ripple outward like shock waves through glass. It would humiliate governments, terrify security agencies, and force the world to rethink the meaning of secure. This is the story of the prison escape that changed global security forever. The missing man was Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, drug lord, billionaire, phantom of the border. A man whose name carried the weight of nightmares in both Mexico and the United States. He was not a criminal in the ordinary sense. He was a kingmaker. His empire stretched across oceans. His cartel commanded more men than some armies. His reach could infiltrate banks, governments, even the police sworn to hunt him. And yet, in 2014, he was captured. For the first time in over a decade, his enemies slept soundly. The United States hailed it as a victory. Mexico declared it a turning point. Finally, the untouchable man was behind bars. But they should have known better, because El Chapo had done this before. In 2001, at another high-security prison, he escaped hidden in a laundry cart wheeled past guards who pretended not to see. For 13 years, he vanished into the shadows of his empire until he was caught again. And now, history was about to repeat itself, on a scale so audacious it would sound like fiction. The prison itself, Altiplano, Mexico's fortress. Here, walls rose 5 meters high. Concrete was layered thicker than bomb shelters. Steel doors weighed hundreds of pounds. Surveillance cameras captured every angle. Guards were rotated frequently to prevent corruption. On paper, it was flawless, impenetrable, but no fortress is ever broken by walls alone. The weakness is always human. The guard who blinks, the engineer who sells a blueprint, the bureaucrat who insists it could never happen here. And somewhere, months, perhaps years, before El Chapo would vanish, a plan began to take shape. It started underground. Tunnelers with the patience of saints and the loyalty of zealots. Engineers equipped with stolen maps. Quiet bribes slipped to the right men in the right places. Bit by bit, they carved a vein into the earth. A tunnel stretching more than a mile beneath farmland. Shored up with wood, strung with lights. Ventilation ducts pumping fresh air. And at its heart, mounted on rails, a motorcycle, waiting in the dark like a promise. When the day came, El Chapo stepped into the shower of his cell, the one blind spot the cameras couldn't see. And then, as if swallowed by the earth, he disappeared. Down a ladder, onto the motorcycle, and in less than a minute, the most powerful drug lord on earth was gone. Chaos. Sirens wailing, radios crackling, helicopters slicing the air above the prison. By the time the alarm sounded, it was already too late. News flashed across the world. Mexico's president held emergency briefings. The U.S. demanded answers. Interpol alerts crossed borders. But everyone knew the truth. With money, power, and loyalty at his disposal, El Chapo had vanished beyond reach. This was not just a local scandal. It was a revelation. Because El Chapo's escape was bigger than a single man. It shattered the illusion of control. We want to believe in maximum security, that walls and steel and cameras can hold back chaos, that governments can promise safety, that a fortress is unbreakable. Alcatraz. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers carved holes into their cell walls, placed papier-mâché heads on their pillows, and slipped away on a raft made of raincoats. The FBI insisted they drowned, but no bodies were ever found. Stalag Luft 3. In Nazi Germany, Allied prisoners dug 3 tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick, and Harry. 76 men crawled through before the guards realized. The escape became legendary. Even leaders are not immune. In 1979, Ayatollah Khamenei, then a young revolutionary, slipped out of detention. Months later, he was at the center of Iran's revolution, shaping a country's destiny. Every great escape reveals the same truth. Prisons are built to erase people, but escapes rewrite history. El Chapo's tunnel did more than humiliate Mexico. It sent shockwaves through every nation that claimed to have a fortress. Suddenly, maximum security didn't feel secure. Suddenly, the unthinkable was possible. Within weeks, countries began re-evaluating their prisons. Security budgets ballooned. Contractors promised miracle fixes, motion sensors buried underground, biometric locks that read retinas, drones to patrol perimeters, AI cameras that claimed to detect suspicious behavior. Entire industries thrived on fear, selling governments the illusion that it could never happen again. But the irony is clear. For every wall, there is a ladder. For every lock, a key. Security is not a finish line. It's a race. And the other side is always faster than we imagine. In 2016, El Chapo was finally recaptured in a dramatic raid. This time, the United States insisted, no more second chances. He was extradited, tried in New York, and sentenced to life without parole. Today, he sits in ADX Florence, Colorado, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. A place so extreme it's called a clean version of hell. Inmates spend 23 hours a day alone in concrete boxes. Meals slid through a slot. A single slit of window angled at the sky so they can't see the horizon. No one has ever escaped. And yet, people still whisper. But here's the twist. The true legacy of El Chapo's escape has nothing to do with his freedom. It has everything to do with us. Because his tunnel didn't just expose a prison, it exposed the system itself. Governments learned that security is only as strong as the weakest official. That cameras mean nothing if the watcher can be bought. That corruption is the real tunnel no wall can stop. And to prevent another humiliation, they expanded their vision. More cameras on city streets, more tracking of phones, more scanning of faces at borders. In trying to prevent another escape, they built something bigger, a prison without walls, a prison we all live in. A tunnel lit by a single bulb, footsteps echoing into the dark. El Chapo's escape was not just a story of crime. It was a story of possibility. Possibility for those who feel trapped. Possibility for those who dream of defiance. And possibility, too, for those who profit from fear. His tunnel didn't just carry him into freedom. It carried the world into a new era. An era where control is never complete, and where freedom may always be an illusion. This was the prison escape that changed global security forever, and its echo still lingers, whispering in the dark. Walls will always rise, tunnels will always be dug, and freedom is always waiting at the other end.